Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Full-time MMA?
MMA,
Nothing
yeah.
else?
My life, man, yeah.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
After the UFC light heavyweight and heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier the GOAT knocked out Stipe Miocic in the first round at UFC 226, he called out Brock Lesnar in a big way. Brock Lesnar, get your ass in here! But be careful what you wish for, because Brock Lesnar came in the octagon and pushed him like he was his fucking nephew or something that was bucking up like, just threw his ass about fucking 12 yards back. That shit was crazy. But either way, now it looks like Brock Lesnar's going to be returning to the UFC. And we've kind of been expecting that. He's talked about wanting to come back to the UFC. Dana White's been telling us, yeah, Brock definitely wants to come back. We didn't know when, now we do. But first, before Brock Lesnar comes back, he's got to enter the USADA drug testing pool for, I believe, a total of 6 months before he can fight again, which he was able to get exempted when he fought Mark Hunt because he was looked at as a new fighter. Anybody that hadn't fought since before USADA was enrolled, if you fight and you haven't fought since USADA came into the picture, the UFC has the option to give you an exemption because you're a new fighter. I believe it's called like a new fighter exemption. So even though Brock Lesnar had fought in the past in the UFC, he was still looked at as a new fighter at UFC 200 because of those technicalities. So he was able to get that exempted, and we didn't have to worry about this process. But here's my thoughts, man. I would love to see Brock Lesnar come back to the UFC. I mean, I know a lot of fighters and some of the hardcore fans don't like that idea because they feel like Brock Lesnar doesn't deserve it. But I'll tell you who does deserve it: Daniel Cormier. But this is the problem, though. Brock Lesnar, he's a huge payday. We all know that. And on top of that, he's a former heavyweight champion. He's not just like another WWE guy coming over here with no skills. Brock Lesnar's definitely won fights in the UFC, and he's got the frame. He's pretty fucking jacked, if you know what I'm saying. But now here's where we finally get to know. Is Brock Lesnar all jacked up on Mountain Dew? Or is Brock Lesnar just a white boy and he's jacked? It's got everybody pissed off because there's a 6-month process right here, and if I'm USADA, there's no way, unless Brock Lesnar starts significantly shrinking, how the fuck do you buy that he's clean? So unless he can pass the drug test, you know what I'm saying, unless he's like that much past the system to be where he can pass the drug test, because some fighters can. If you listen to George St. Pierre, he says it's still easy to beat USADA. If you listen to Habib, he says that he still believes 50% of fighters or more are on steroids even with USADA. Now he says USADA does do a great job of cleaning up the sport, but they're not perfect. And with that being said, my question is, how the fuck is Brock Lesnar going to make it through these 6 months? And real quick, full-time family, before you forget, make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying this video, and also if you're new, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to see more videos like this, just check out the video description, the Full-Time MMA Dojo over here at patreon.com/fulltimemma, and you can see a lot of other cool things, including the goals of this channel, which is something new. So make sure you go check that out. And with that being said, enjoy the rest of the video. I mean, I love the fight, and if he does make it through these 6 months, he'll be cleared to fight, I believe, January 8th. This is what USADA had to say. After receiving notice of his intent to compete in the UFC, USADA re-entered Brock Lesnar into the testing pool on July 3rd. With 6 months and 4 days remaining on his period of ineligibility, Lesnar will be able to compete on or after January 8th, 2019, should he remain in compliance with the UFC anti-doping policy. So, he's got 6 months of going through USADA testing without fighting, and he's got to be clean for these 6 months, or he's not even going to get to come back to the UFC. And then he's got to pass all of his fucking drug tests before the fight and after the fight. So, I mean, that's a whole nother weird situation, because if he couldn't pass the drug test, or if he wasn't clean, I don't even know why he would be coming back. You know, what's the point of re-entering the USADA drug pool if they're just gonna fucking pop you 3 months into the testing period before you even get to fight? So either Brock Lesnar's clean or he feels like he can pass the drug test, so we still might be getting to see the fight. But Either way, it's no guarantee. That's all I'm saying. If he passed the test, that's cool. I don't give a fuck. Do it how you do. I'm watching the fight. If DC agrees to fight you and you're in the octagon and you still look like you're all jacked up off Mountain Dew, that's on DC. You know what I'm saying? And USADA if they can't catch you. But what I'll say is just don't get your hopes up. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this whole testing period. Maybe Brock Lesnar gets through it with no hiccups and he gets to the fight and we get to see David versus Goliath in the UFC, Daniel Cormier versus Brock Lesnar. But it would just be really hard to get your hopes up for a Brock Lesnar fight, knowing that he has to go through 6 months of drug testing before he can step in the octagon. So I'm not going to get my hope. I'm not going to hold my breath, I'll say. Now, money does talk, so I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Brock Lesnar was able to squeak through the USADA guidelines and testing, because if there's some people doing it, I would just assume Brock Lesnar's probably got the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? He's coming from the WWE where they're not as hard on drug testing. I mean, I'm sure in the WWE, I'm pretty sure that they don't just say, yeah, all of our fighters are on steroids. I think they actually say that they drug test their people over there in the WWE as well. But over here, we ain't buying that shit, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens, man. It's definitely going to be an interesting process. But Brock Lesnar is officially back in the drug testing pool, and he's eligible to fight again in January. And if he does come back in January, that could very well be Daniel Cormier's very last fight as a pro. He said he wants to retire by his birthday, which is in March, his 40th birthday. He said he's done with the fight game. He's ready to pass the torch to his son. And he said, our family's been focused on me my whole career, my whole athletic career. Everybody's focused on me and my achievements. Now it's time for me to pass that torch to my son. He's a wrestler now. I'm trying to go to all of his mats, his meets, and watch what he does. I'm trying to put all the attention on my son now. I've did my thug thizzle, so I want to be out of here by the time I'm 40. He set that deadline a while back. So with that being said, Brock Lesnar comes back in January. Maybe they fight one last time and DC rolls off into the sunset, win or lose, with a big ass Brock Lesnar payday. But he also wants to fight John Jones now. My thought is, what if John Jones says, DC, before you retire, prove you can beat me, pussy, you mother. What if he just starts talking trash, building the fight? I'll come take your heavyweight belt too, you fat motherfucker. You know you never beat me. Like, that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. Get money. I'm just saying, what if John Jones starts coming out talking that shit right when DC's about to retire, and he's like, okay, son, I'm gonna have to show you how we do it here at heavyweight. Maybe we get to see Daniel Cormier one last time. Either way, man, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you guys think in the comments about Brock Lesnar being back in the drug testing pool. And before we go, shout out to all the full-time MMA white belts that have hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to become a full-time MMA blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, or black belt, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/fulltimemma. I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOG.